This is John for the Everyday Fan Sports. Today I'm on the beat. I have the pleasure of talking to Alejandra the Lion. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm talking to you. I saw you wrestle about a month ago. I'm very excited to talk about your career. Let's jump right in. How did you get started in wrestling?
Huh?
How did you get started in wrestling?
So it's quite a little long story, right? So kind of starts very like everybody else's kind of thing, right? Where I was just a fan of a kid of wrestling, right? I was a fan of wrestling as a child, but I was not born in the United States. I was actually born in El Salvador, and when I was little, it was something that I could not achieve if I would have stayed in El Salvador because there's not much wrestling there. So luckily, when I was a teenager, my parents moved to the United States, specifically Dallas, Texas, and I turned about like 23 or so like that, I became this fan of wrestling again, like the little girl who loved wrestling. I became that person again. But now that I was an adult, it was more like, I want to do this. I really want to do this. I love this. I've always loved it, and I want to do it. And I looked at around my area, and for some reason, I couldn't find a school to train it. I was finding shows, but I wasn't finding a school. And luckily, through a friend of my sister, I was able to find the school where I trained, which is DFWO Pro in the Dallas area, and that's where I started, and that was about 5 years ago. And now here I am, a pro wrestler, traveling all over the United States and living the dream.
So when you were a little girl in El Salvador, were you watching American wrestling or is there wrestling out there?
So I used to watch pretty much American wrestling. We watched a lot of WWE or WWF at that time, but we also watch a lot of lucha libre because we're also like Latinos, and that's and lucha libre is very big in our culture. So it was both of them. But like I said, unfortunately, El Salvador does not have a lot of wrestling or shows that as a child I could go to. So mainly what I watched, I would say, was the lucha libre mexicana and in, like I said, WWF at that time.
And how many titles I know you've won a few. How many titles have you won so far?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I've been champion for multiple companies. Uh I don't know.
Well, I guess that's good. If you can't even remember how many you are, that means you've won a bunch. That's pretty exciting. How did it feel to win your first one?
It was so unreal. It almost like it's I don't know how to describe it because I felt like it happened quicker than I expected, and then it was I remember the match and the build up to the match. It was with a good friend of mine. Her name is Roche Chanel. She was the current champion of a company called Sword Championship Wrestling in Dallas. And I want to say it was a good back and forth between her and I. And I want to say our whole segment and match, it was about almost 30 minutes.
Ooh.
I had to prove myself to wrestle her, right? So I had a match, and to prove that I was worthy of a shot at the title. I won that match, and then I later wrestle. Actually, immediately after that match, I wrestled Roche Chanel, and I beat Roche, and I became at that time the new Sword Women's Champion, and that was my first title that I won. And like I said, it was just, I don't know, it was so surreal. It was so, and it was a while back. I can honestly not remember the exact time that it happened. I want to say maybe, oh, I do not know actually. I don't know. I don't remember the time, but yes, but I remember the moment and the feeling.
And you wrestled in AEW, correct?
Yes, I had a few.
How was that experience?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. I love the backstage. I love the company. It's very welcoming, and it just feels amazing to be there, and to get the opportunity to even wrestle is just insane to me. But it was an amazing experience. I know the first time I've been there with them a couple times, and I think the first match that I had was against Red Velvet, and that was a really good match, and it went pretty well. So
Now, when you're in the ring, I know obviously you're concentrating on the actual match, but do you ever have time to kind of just soak it in and like look at the audience or think like, wow, I'm really doing what I wanted to do?
oh my goodness, yes. So I always people talk about, do you get nervous before a match, or what it feels like before before you step through those curtains, right? And every time, like right before either my music hits or right before I get to the ring, I am nervous as I could be. I'm just anxious, and I have butterflies in my stomach. And then I go through those curtains, I step into the ring, and I take a moment, like you said, and I take it in. I look at the crowd, I make connections with people, I see their faces, I notice them. And that was, doing that, it's almost like I'm here, and it makes it real to me. And it helps me just kind of, like I said, like connect with the fans, and the whole atmosphere. Just like I said, it's just a moment, we take it in.
Yeah, I had to laugh because I saw an interview with you a little while back, and the gentleman asked you about how did you get your name, and you kind of looked at him and said, "Well, look at the hair." So I have to ask. I love your hair. It's a unique look. Do the opponents ever use your hair against you?
Oh yes, all the time. It does. Uh, it does get pulled quite a lot, and then I've gotten tossed around the ring. I've been grabbed and tossed around. My hair's being grabbed and tossed around. So yes, it does get, unfortunately, not used very well by my opponents. Yes.
But it looks great. It adds to the whole appearance of you in the ring. At Second Wrestling, like a month ago when I saw you, you wrestled a 4-person match. How difficult is that?
It is, I would say it's very difficult, just because I usually am a very much like a singles competitor. Like I've always have like singles matches. I don't get to have multi-person matches. And in a multi-person match, it gets a little hard and complicated, just because there's so many opponents that I need to focus on and pay attention to, and where I'm going to get a hit from. And I think I got one down, but there's 3 more or 2 more. And yeah, it's quite chaotic in that way, just because there's so many things. And like I said, in a singles match, it's just me and my opponent most of the time. But in a multi-person match, I got to worry about so many people.
Was that your first time wrestling in the Chicago area?
Yes, that was definitely my first time there.
Because that was I obviously I saw the match as first row. That was a great match. You were great in the ring, and you certainly held your own outside of the ring. You were a really good brawler out there, and the fans loved you.
Yes, thank you.
Do you know yet? Will you be back? Do you know?
I do not know when I'll be back to Chicago, or when I'll be back to Second Chance Wrestling. I would love to be back. I would definitely love to be back. I love the city, and I was very fortunate to be given the opportunity to be there, and check a new city off the bucket list, and get to, I don't know. Like I said, it's living the dream.
Well, I'm calling out all promoters. Anybody that's watching this, bring her into the Chicago area, because it really was fantastic watching you wrestle. Did you have any wrestling role models that you kind of followed or patterned some of your moves after?
Oh my goodness, so many. Like I feel like I absolutely love the sport, and to me, like almost everyone is just great and amazing to me. But I always start off with China. because like I said, I used to watch wrestling as a little girl and during the WWF era. And to me, I firmly believe, as a little girl, that China was the number one third of the world. I believe that. And she was so strong and everything. So that just, meant a lot to me when I used to see her. So I will always go say, like, I very much look up to her. And then of course my other idols, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, and I always go to those wrestlers around that time just because they were the people who sparked this love for the sport for me.
Well, how does it feel for you now? I saw young kids, I saw old kids like me, I saw a bunch of people obviously going up to you for your autograph, for a picture with you. How does it feel for you now to be on that end of it and having these people, cheering up for you?
Like I said, it's such almost like unrealistic in a way, because it's more than I ever dreamt of. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, being a little girl in El Salvador and looking at my surroundings and almost like saying to myself, like, that will never happen. That's not going to happen. And then when I started my wrestling journey, I was like, oh, I'll be just happy if I can get to wrestle. It's almost like I didn't know that I would have a career and that I will create fans and that people will follow me and get inspired. And it, like I said, it's almost unrealistic because it's more than I dreamt of, if that makes sense. It's
totally. And you absolutely had fans. I saw the line, waiting to meet you. But now I do have to ask you about your animals. I know you lost track of your titles, but how many animals, what do you have around?
Oh my goodness! I currently own. That's why I'm another thing of as who I am as a person, right? The lion. I'm the queen of the jungle, and I do have quite the jungle at my house. I have 4 cats, 3 geckos, 3 lizards, and then 2 pythons. So 2 snakes. Yeah. So in total, animals, I have 9.
That's a lot.
It is. They're quite a lot, but just like wrestling, I'm dedicated to them, you know what I mean? And they bring a joy that it's unique to me,
No, in a singles match, 1-on-1, what is your finisher?
So my finisher is like a cravat face buster. And that's kind of what I use. It's what I call the lion spray, because you never turn your back on a lion, and as soon as they turn their back on me, it's attack. It's hunt mode, and they get dropped.
And how would you describe your overall style?
Oh my goodness, I want to say it's unique, because as a lion, I got sharp claws, and they're part of my arsenal in the ring. They're sharp, and if you come near me, you're gonna get scratched. So it's very unorthodox in a lot of ways, but I'm also very quick, and I want to say, yeah, most likely unique. I'm quick in the ring. I'm also very aggressive, if that makes sense.
Totally does.
If too, I just don't wildly go. I pay attention to what's going on before I make the attack.
No, I saw that. I saw you hanging outside the ring waiting for your moment. That was a brilliant strategy. But
Yeah.
before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to promote? Tell fans where they could find you?
All my social medias, if you type Alejandra Lion, they all show up in my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. If you just type Alejandra Lion, I pop up. So yeah, like I said, I would love for my fans just to follow my social media, follow this journey, and be able to keep up with me. Hopefully that I can make more fans and keep living the dream by going out to different states and cities. You know, it's like I said, living the dream.
Well, like I said, I saw you firsthand, and I'm not just saying this because I'm interviewing you. I told my friends, first of all, I thought that whole match was fantastic. I thought all four of you ladies really killed it in the ring. That was a phenomenal match. I was so impressed with you in the ring, in and out of the ring, whether you were brawling on the outside or whether you were taking down somebody on the inside. I thought you wrestled a phenomenal match, and you couldn't have been nicer. I don't want to kill the image. You couldn't have been any nicer to your fans, whether you're a heel or a face, but you're so sweet to the fans, even us old guys. So I really appreciate that too.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, I'm very passive, you know what I mean? But like I said, I tell people I'm very calm unless I'm provoked. Then the wildness comes out.
That's perfect though. That's the best type of match, because then you control it, and if they get out of hand, then you take them down.
Yeah.
Alejandra, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Again, I really enjoyed watching your match, and I hope to see you again in this area.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time and meeting with me and stuff like that, and appreciating my work. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and you have a great evening.
You too.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
All right.